The Omid and Kojo Show.
Hello and welcome to the Omid and Kojo Show. I'm Kojo. That's Omid somewhere on the screen. But we're not alone. Oh no. Oh no. Mr. Softface McGee himself.
Hi. Hi. Oh, so happy to be on your show.
The legendary Pean.
Number one fan, Omid and Kojo Show. Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know Pean, he's the most elusive Garrison member. He lurks around in his room.
There's a fourth Garrison member.
He creates wonderful art, and he's got very soft skin.
He has, honestly, it's so soft. He's got so much of it as well. If you pull it from his face here, it just keeps on going. It's like Stretch Armstrong skin.
Important enough to be on the gravestone. He had very soft skin.
And he had so much left over. We made his gravestone out of his skin as well.
It's got a bit of tanned Pean skin. It's like Pean leather.
Oh my God. Made the grave out of own skin.
It's got a sheath over it made of Pean
I
leather.
design it before I die so that when I die, people just have to take my skin and just follow the orders.
It's a bold move. You should do that.
I mean, who else is doing that?
Yeah.
Who else? No, nobody.
I mean, no one's ever appreciated until they're dead anyway, so you may as well go out with a bang.
The first man to have
A skin
into leather and cover his gravestone.
The first ever foreskin covered gravestone.
I bet someone's done it though. The thing is, I bet if you looked it up, someone's done it. Some king or something. They made a tomb out of his skin. I don't know.
Yeah, some ancient emperor.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some questions on everyone's minds. All right. So if you
other than that,
people are thinking Pean, skin, but also big. So Pean created the tricking documentary Big, which, in my opinion, is the best tricking documentary ever.
Yes.
If you've seen it, you'll want to know more about how it was made and the thoughts behind it. If you haven't seen it, then see it, and then you'll want to know. All right?
There'll be a link.
Also, you can just buy it.
There'll be a link in the description.
Yeah.
There's various ways to go and check it out. You should definitely watch it because it is Kojo is 100% correct. It's the best documentary.
Yes, man. Yes, man. You heard it. You heard it here. KTL approved.
Yes, man. What made you want to do it, Pean? Because you're not a man who takes on tasks lightly. You like to be very picky about what you do.
Yeah. Mainly the likes. It's a very like-based decision. Basically just there wasn't a documentary on tricking yet that I felt properly represented what tricking was, which, I mean, I'm full respect and props to all the people that made documentaries and stuff and got the word out there. But I thought there was a version of what it really was, at least to me, that hadn't been explained or shown properly. And that was the side that I was passionate about. So I was like, if I want other people to understand why I care about this so much, I want to show that to people, more than just tricking is a mixture of this and that and blah, blah, blah. That's not what makes people love tricking. It's this culture and these people and what we do. So we had the opportunity to do the tour, and there was I don't think there will ever come a time again for me that is more perfect to try and capture, to explain what trickers do and what tricking is. So it was just before we went on that, I kind of was thinking and thought all that and thought, well, shit, I should just do it then. Because, this is the time. So I just kind of made the commitment in my head I was going to do it without just knowing quite how much work, however it would be. I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
Well, Pete, with the way things are going, with the corona and just the way things are looking in 2020, might not be another opportunity. You might have made the best tricking documentary that's ever made. If the world all goes to shit, no one's going to get a chance to make a better one. Could happen.
How are you going to be able to film anyone if you can't breathe the same air as them?
Yeah.
Everyone filming all these tricking gatherings in Zorb balls. You know, there's enormous inflatable balls.
When Corona 20 comes out, COVID 20, Jesus.
I don't know. Well, I don't know what to do about all that. I got in quick, you know. I was like the Bitcoin of tricking documentaries.
That's the thing. You
I was
gotta
in there at
see
the
your
right
chance
time.
and seize it. So how long did it take you to make it, to like edit it? What were some of the pitfalls? What did you have to overcome to make such a lovely, I don't know if that's the right word, but
Oh goodness.
good.
What didn't we have to overcome, eh, boys? Well, I mean, it was 6 months total. The first 3 months being, how long were we out there? 2 months, 3 months?
2 months.
Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah, so the first 2 months was, you know, out in the field, filming the thing happening, you know, filming the damn thing. Sorry, I'm going to be really stupid the whole time, by the way. Well, first we had to film the damn thing. I hate myself. Yeah, so we had to film it, and again, we've never done anything like that. I remember being really not wanting to miss anything that might happen that would be great to have in the documentary. So I was always like, oh, should I go get my camera? Should I be filming this? Like, you know, trying to make sure I got everything, because there's no redos. You know, it's just how things happen. So, but also trying to make sure I was relaxing and charging the batteries, and I don't know, it worked out. But I remember just a lot of being prepared to film in a way which I wouldn't be now. You know, it kind of, it was really exciting at the time, but it kind of formed my experience of the tour a lot as well. I was there to make sure I was filming and all of that.
But it was a weird one for you as well, because there wasn't like, I remember the whole time, even up until like several months after the tour, from the second you had the idea, we were all just talking and we were like, so what's it gonna look like?
What is this? Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I didn't know, but I just knew, like, I guess I knew what the basic idea was, and it was to kind of show this side of tricking that I knew, you know. So I knew I just had to film it happen, to have the stuff to construct it out of, you know. If maybe half the stuff didn't make it in, that's fine, but I knew I wanted to have all the pieces, the potential pieces to work with. So I just tried to cover as much as possible. I mean, there is way more footage than is in it, and even the original cut is like 40 minutes longer or something, and it's still pretty long, you know. So I mean, so much happened. But anyway, so that was fun, but also quite a thing, just filming it all. And once we got back, I guess it was I remember it being 6 months total, so it must have been 4 months of editing. The start was really weird because I never made anything like that. You know, we make like little samplers and stuff. What's that, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes of your tricking clips? You're like, okay, sitting down, your food's like, open Premiere. What do you do?
Yeah, how many gigs
footage did you have?
and how many hours of footage?
It was,
I don't know. I had terabytes of footage, but I had it roughly ordered chronologically. So they were in folders of days, so I knew I could follow it that way. And then interviews were separate. So I had, like, I don't know, day 1 to 48 or something, and then interviews, which was like Will Coney's, Guthrie, blah blah blah. So I could kind of pick from it like that. But at the start, oh, you know what I did first? I made the trailer. I think that kind of helped me just get a feeling for a vibe, trying to like construct a vibe. What would the trailer for this documentary look like? You know, and from kind of worked almost backwards from that, of how crazy is it? You know, how am I editing this? What would I want people to be excited by looking at the trailer, and through that kind of figuring out maybe how to construct it. But after that, I guess I had this thing where I had to get a first pass before I was trying to really then edit it down. And the first pass is weird because I have to not worry too much about any section and get hung up on it. I have to just keep editing and keep kind of doing a rough cut and get to the end so I can see roughly what there is and work from there. So when I was getting stuck or not sure about something, I would be like, oh, it doesn't matter, like, keep that section rough, but keep moving. Just keep trying to get through all of this and see kind of what it looks like. And then from there, that was when the real kind of editing began. Once I could see roughly, like, okay, this is, well, I think the start was really long at first. Like, it took way too long to kind of get started. And I think maybe it still does. I think the last time I watched it, I kind of re-edited and stuff in my head, and I'm like, oh, like, this should be like 10 minutes shorter, and like I could do this different here. I wish I could like redo the audio for that or just cut that. Like, it could still be better, but
that's always the way.
Yeah.
But I like it for what it is. But yeah, it was a lot of learning just as I went, but fueled by just being really excited. I knew that what I could see that it could be something really great. So I was excited I was more excited by that than frustrated with not knowing what I was doing or anything.
I think one thing different about your approach, which I noticed like when you were making it, which I think is really cool and is what makes the stuff you produce like really good, is you weren't really thinking, oh, I need to finish it by this date specifically. More like thinking about, I'm going to finish it when it's done. And I think a lot of people come into it and be trying to finish like within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, like if they're on some project and then want to move on.
Well, I did have a deadline actually, but it was months and months away. So I was good. It was far enough away that I could do it properly, but not so far that like it was so big. There's several points where I could have just stalled and had it kind of lag. The deadline was hooked because I don't know how far along I was, but when I spoke to Laurent and was like, "Hey, I'm making this thing, but tricking, and it would be great to show it there," but it doesn't exist at the time. And he's like, "Yeah, that's cool. Like, we can do that." So then I'm like, "Oh shit, gotta fucking make a documentary for Hooked, and everyone's gonna watch it." So that was a good pressure, and the time was super reasonable. So I think I had 3-4 months to edit it all, but that was like all I can remember is doing that day and night.
I remember you being because you were next door to me. For people who don't know, I had little soft skin next door, and every day when I came out my room, you just see him in there like with his headphones on, tapping away, moving his mouse around.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were definitely periods where I'd pop in and just give him a stroke on the head, knock some things off his desk, just make sure that he was okay. Because every now and then, like, I could feel the tension. I'd be in my room, which was also next to his room, and I could feel the tension. We'd both have our doors closed, and I'd be like, I should probably go and check on Pean. So I'd walk in, and he'd be like, fucking stressing about something because the files are too big or whatever. So I just go in and like knock these things off his desk like this, just make sure he was okay. Because it was such an endeavor for you to actually like get through this shit. And also at the time, you didn't even know why that much. You were just like, this is like purely based off of the feeling and passion, which is so sick.
But I think that's why it did work. Because the thing is, as much as I can watch Big now and, can on a technical level think, oh, it would be better if I did this, did that. I think what does come through, and what's most important that comes through, is that passion. You can see not only just me putting it together, but all the people in the documentary and stuff. You can see the passion, and you can see why people love this, and that's more important than it being a technically sound production. So I'm happy about that, and I think most people that watch it get that. But I mean, do you guys? Honestly, it's such a blur for me that whole time. Just in my room. Do you have any memories of things I did? I remember only one kind of big mishap I had to get through. But do you guys remember?
That was.
I remember that situation. The computer.
The computer incident.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah. I don't know why, but my computer one day was just like, and I'm done. I was just, I don't know, in the, right in the belly of the beast, as they say, of making this thing. And I don't know, no time to spare. And my computer just like straight up full died. And also that was my computer I did like my job on and everything. It was just the worst possible and most expensive thing to die on me. And I remember I was having none of it, wasn't in the mood for seeing the funny side. Like just like dead faced about it, and you guys were just laughing at me. Like the more unhappy it made me, the funnier it was.
Well, it wasn't the computer breaking that was funny. It was
Yeah,
just how livid you are.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like how awful my situation was hilarious to you guys. But I mean, we've all been on the end of that. We've all had the peaks.
That's
And,
the thing.
you know,
Like that was the relationship we had.
Yeah.
That's still the relationship we had.
Yeah.
It's just now it's kind of a little bit more like, oh, I'm sorry, and then we laugh hysterically at someone's pain and misery.
Well, this is very funny.
Well, next time we're all together with Kyle as well, we should definitely rewatch Big, because it's been long enough now that I don't remember exactly what happens all the way through. So it'll be quite fun to like drink and rewatch it.
Oh God.
I got a raunchy question. All right.
Right.
Got a raunchy question coming right up.
Here it is. Here's the raunchy question.
So what was the raunchiest thing you had to cut out of Big? What clips did you have that didn't make it in because you're like, I can't put this in?
Oh man. I mean, probably like there was some raunchy stuff of us on the salt flats. I'm sure. I'm sure I must have had some couple cocks to cut. I'm pretty sure I got some ass as well. Just some body parts.
Didn't we do one of my interviews in the shower, or half of my interview in the shower?
Oh yeah. No, that had to go. That could. But you know what? I do think maybe in the extras, because that interview's in the extras, I think I maybe used a fogged up clip as like the background for like the credits of the interview or something.
That whole trip was insane. Like I think about it, and like on the surface, like I'll remember certain things about like when we were up at that little lake in Colorado, and we all got naked and took the photos and stuff, and then on the salt flats. But there was so much more nudity. I ended up being naked on a roof in New York. I did that whole scene. I did that whole scene when I was doing the interview where I was drinking wine in the shower and talking to you. And it was a completely glass shower, and it was just me and you. It was weird.
It was the end of the tour. We'd been meaning to do an Omid interview, and we'd done it. We did it normal style, and then for whatever reason, I think I just said it'd be funny if I did one of these questions without any explanation, but just me in the shower as if it was some kind of like Vogue type shoot, and that's why I was wearing the fucking the fluffy blanket when I was actually doing the interview clips, because I was like, I want this to be. Also, bear in mind, this is 2 months of like abusing my mind and body, so I was like, this will be fun. This is a good idea, and I don't know. There was a lot of shit that went on that tour that doesn't make any sense.
Well, what were your guys' rock bottom on the tour? What would you say was the low when you were at, because we were all like done at certain points throughout the months. What points would you say?
I mean, there was definitely like, once we'd kind of done the bulk of the tour and we were on our way to Trickstrong, the whole making our way to Trickstrong, like flight and train,
that train journey is one of the worst experiences of my life. Do you remember that?
Okay, so I remember the train journey as well, but I think maybe I don't know if that was the worst bit, because before that So after a week of partying at Loot Kicks, like non-stop, sleeping, like I genuinely didn't sleep more than 3 hours any night in that week. It's the least I've ever slept in my life. And I remember when we had to get our flight and we had to leave at like 6 a.m. and it was like 2 a.m. and I was lying down on the floor. Everyone's still partying. So I couldn't sleep, obviously. And I think at that point, being so tired and feeling so bad and knowing I've got to go and have a 6-hour flight to New York, that was maybe the worst. And then we had a 6-hour flight with no in-flight entertainment. Okay, at least we're going to get picked up. And then that's when we had to have the 2-hour train. So I don't know, it's either before we left or the train ride for me, I think.
Nah, think about that train journey though. We all had our suitcases.
But we were closer to being in bed. That's the thing. Like, I felt so hope when we hadn't even gone to the airport yet. I was like, oh no.
Well, I think I just didn't predict quite how bad that journey was going to be, because I was like, you know what? Once we leave this house, because me and you were sleeping in the same room at Loot Kicks, so I remember falling asleep with pizza on my chest, and like there was literally a pizza on my chest, and then I had to wake up, and there was like someone woke me up and was like, "Yo, we need to leave," and I was like, "What?" And I must have slept for like 20 minutes, and I got all my shit together frantically, and then I was like, "Wait, we're not leaving for like an hour and a half." So I was just like, it's like 2 in the morning. This is my life. But then when we got on that train, it was packed. I remember just kind of looking dead eyes into everybody who looked at me. I didn't care. I was like, I don't care that my suitcase is in the way. This is the worst I've ever felt. But yeah, I think for me though, that it's either on the way from the Grand Canyon to Vegas.
Oh, that has to be rock bottom, actually. That was bad.
Grand Canyon to Vegas.
Yeah, well, like, okay, immediately after we left the Grand Canyon, once we left the Grand Canyon and we went to that that diner.
Oh yeah.
And I fell asleep with my head on the table.
But that was funny. See that time, that wasn't like, that's the longest I ever stayed awake, because it was from Utah to like all night in Vegas.
Well, did you have to drive at any point?
I didn't.
That's the thing.
I wasn't driving.
It was less funny if people were like, "You're driving now."
Lives are on the line.
Yeah, everyone's lives are on the line. Everyone is actually delirious. Fucking Malcolm was actually dying of appendicitis. And everyone is just trusting each other with their lives. Like, all these delirious people to drive them across the country. Oh, God.
I wasn't even from that country. I remember someone said to me, it's your, like, now you gotta drive. Because I looked around, I was like, there's no one else to drive. And I looked and I was just like, I was genuinely in disbelief. I sat in that car and held the steering wheel with one other person next to me, about to drive through Nevada with no air conditioning, with a little Israeli boy across America, and I was like, I'm gonna die here. I am going to die here.
Yeah,
this is what's gonna happen.
That's the most kind of potential death moment I can remember, is that drive, because that was the same. Like, when I had to drive, I was like, fuck, I can't believe it's come to the point where I am the best option right now. Like, everyone else is more delirious than me. Like, I'm the safest option, because I've never driven like that in my life. Like, you see in films, like, people cannot keep their eyes open and they keep drifting onto like the the things on the side. Like, that kept happening, and I was like,
the whole time
together, because what else was I supposed to do? Like, I don't know.
But looking back though, it's kind of like, when we saw the Grand Canyon, I'm kind of glad we saw it after like having a full day in a session and then driving all night with no sleep. I'm kind of glad that we were like deliriously tired.
Me too.
Because I think it made it more, because obviously it's so impressive seeing that for the first time. But I'm glad that I saw it while I was in this kind of weird delirious state, like, whoa, seeing the sunrise at Grand Canyon. Like, if we were wide awake and well rested, it wouldn't be quite as crazy.
Well, I remember, like, some people cut some sleep in the cars, but I remember me and you, Omid, we didn't get any sleep, and we just kind of watched the sunrise. And just, I don't know.
Mental. Because I tried to sleep, but I think because I was driving, I pumped my body full of so much caffeine that, because I did a lot of driving on that tour, and like I think I was just so scared of driving through the dark, throughout these burnt out trees, forests.
Oh,
I was just driving with Alex Kerwood asleep in the car next to me. Oh wait, was I with Kerwood? I know
I was
someone.
with Kerwood. Were we in the same car?
Was it Arizona? Like, or was it Nevada? No, it's Arizona, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was on our way to the canyon, I think.
And it was like, yeah, those burnout trees were scary.
Remember
Yeah, that was just like...
how spooked we got?
Yeah, I remember getting spooked. Were you guys in a different car to me? Was I with Kyle and Tim?
I was
Same
car. Oh, I was with you and Tim Kojo, because I remember getting spooked with you specifically in the tree bit.
But I think we all stopped though. I think there was a point where we all stopped.
Yeah,
and
everyone
got
stopped.
out.
Everyone was too spooked.
Because I got
Spooked
out.
to drive.
I got out so I could take a leak, and I was like, I've got to walk into that. They all look like men. All these burnt out trees look like weird skeleton men.
This shape, like just a lot of guys out.
It was just a weird place to be at a weird time. Like,
my eyes were tripping because I was like, we were all so deliriously tired. Everything looked like a man or multiple men running at the car or something.
Yeah, no, it was like a
Isn't it?
creepiest stop on the tour by far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember just drinking too much coffee and getting to the Grand Canyon, trying to sleep, and just my body just trying to stay so alert that every time I closed my eyes, I was just like...
But see, there's so many things like that where I wasn't filming, but let's say I got enough footage of that whole spooky bit, that would be a funny little interval in the documentary. Yeah. You know, like the documentary is such a small condensed version of what happened.
Yeah. But I think
you could have made a whole series of the escapades or something if you had a proper camera crew filming the whole time or something.
Well, I think having lived it, I think if you were to do it again, the whole approach would be completely different, because like now from what I think, it's better to kind of capture the rock bottom moments and the low moments and the craziness that happens when everyone's deliriously tired. They're the times when you really need to be focusing on filming.
Because, yeah, but like I was also rock bottom and delirious.
No, I know, that's the thing. Like that's why it's so difficult.
I got some of it.
You did a really good job of it, but it's like a lot of the time you're in it just as much as everybody else. So you're not thinking I need to do it to the doc. You're like, oh my god, my life.
Yeah,
can't exist anymore.
We need to do a Garrison like Asia tour or something, but have someone with us. If we had someone else who could be filming.
Oh, I don't know, but I mean, I'm always so wary of trusting other people with things, because I love, at least if I'm gonna do it, I know I'm culpable for not filming or whatever. You know,
it's a lot harder to edit other people's footage as well, because normally when you film with like the edit in mind, like whenever I'm making any project, then when I'm filming, I have an idea of how I'm going to be editing it. And
exactly. I film based on how I know I want it to be filmed for editing and everything. I don't know. I think it would just change things in a way you can't really predict if you had a guy there to film, because the fact that it was so ratchet and I was the one filming just gives it a certain vibe. You know?
Yeah.
Which I like. But yeah.
Right in the shit.
Right in the shit. Right in there.
Just being a part of the crud.
Bringing it back to at the end of the tour, traveling to New York, one thing I just wanted to mention. So after the train journey, then we had to get like a taxi to the house. And then after that, so after the worst journey ever, Pean ordered food. And this was one of my favorite moments. The guy gave you food, and then he's like, and something for me?
Oh my god, I forgot about that. I've never seen Pean so mad that somebody doesn't know. It was so fucking funny. He was kicking off. Oh my lord, that was so funny.
That was.
Just gonna leave it there. I kicked off. I killed him.
Pean kicked off because in the UK we don't have to tip everyone all of the goddamn time. You just pay for what you're paying for, and the
The
business
company
pays the
pays
staff.
their employees.
But yeah, that I remember that cheered me up. I felt so bad for like the previous 12 hours, but yeah, that made my day. And then I slept
I'm
18
glad,
hours.
glad I could help.
Yeah, what a time, eh? What a time. And after that, I remember after that massive sleep, just wanting to not move all day. And we watched the new Game of Thrones. That was back when Game of Thrones was good before they ruined it. Those were the days, eh? Was it you, Pean, I was watching it with?
I don't remember watching Game of Thrones.
Nah, me and Pean slept for like 2 days.
Yeah, I didn't leave the house. Everyone went
we
to like
actually
sessions and
slept.
stuff, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, me, him, and Trish slept on the floor, and every time one of us would wake up, about every like 8 or 9 hours, one of us would wake up and go, "Oh, we should probably get going then." And then everyone would fall asleep again, and another 8 or 9 hours sleep would commence.
I remember I was doing that in another room. I was like down the stairs a bit on the couch. But I remember like I didn't have any plans on leaving. I was like, nah, I'm not moving for like 2 days. And I didn't go out for the first 2 days in New York. I just like slept and watched TV. Slept like 18 hours a day.
Yeah, it was
Only
great.
human, eh?
I wonder, I don't know, if somebody would have made us do things, I feel like there might have been a death. Like if someone just passed away from exhaustion.
Just softly passed away. No incident.
Just everyone's walking to 7-Eleven, and just as that one person's walking out the house, just they turn to ash.
Just kind of crumbles, slowly starts crumbling, like skin peeling as they walk. It's like,
I just bye bye.
Rather ash than 7-Eleven.
yeah.
Oh.
So, Pete, what's going on with you in terms of? So obviously, there's the two sides of your life. There's the art, the artiste that is Pean, Christopher, Hornpack, Sevestre.
Yeah.
And then there's Pete. So the tricker. Why don't you tell us about both sides of your life at the moment and what's happening?
Telling you about my life. All right. Doing art and stuff. That's my job. A lot of people seem to think I just do art as a hobby. So that's like my actual job that I do for money. Just to clear that up. Yeah, I don't know. I work on all kinds of films and games and cinematics, doing concepts and whatnot, and illustrations, and I put a hell of a lot of my time into trying to be good at that, working on that, as much as I do tricking. But at the moment, putting pretty much all my time into that because I can't really trick because of body reasons, but trying to fix that. You know, I'm on this ongoing quest to figure out the thing that will make my hip play nice and not hurt when I try and do tricks, because I want to do tricking. I never had any plans to like stop, and it's been just so frustrating to not be able to continue the journey I put a decade into, which I had no end in sight ever for tricking. I just wanted to trick like forever, and I still do. So I'm still trying to figure out how to get back to it and kind of carry on with what I was doing, because tricking's pretty cool. But yeah, in the meantime, just working on art things. But in a way, like I feel there's things I can do for tricking in the meantime anyway. You know, I mean, like my biggest thing I've probably done for tricking is big, and that came along more because of my skills in art rather than tricking. You know, and if I can like keep providing things for tricking that way for now, that'd be cool. I mean, in the future, there's all kind of things that would be just cool to do. You know, if tricking got big enough that Red Bull or someone wanted to put real money into some kind of production, I'd love to be involved as director or art director, or director of photography or just somehow be involved. If tricking was going to take a step up, I'd love to be able to help with all that stuff. And yeah, hopefully that's something. Huh?
In our lifetimes, there probably will be a big step up at some point. I feel like where there'll be more opportunities for stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'd love to be able to do things there. But yeah, so not tricking too much at the moment, but only because something is stopping me, not because I don't want to. So working on sorting that out. But yeah, just do a bunch of art, try and learn new things, be silly. I'd love to do more silly and video things in the future, but I've been in very much a just art phase lately, just more serious art phase, nothing silly or whatever. Well, I mean, obviously silly things, but no, not putting 6 months into silly ideas or anything like that. Yeah, things are good, but just very, very art based. But there's the better I get at that, the more skills I just have to feed back into tricking in whatever way at whatever time.
Sure.
That's what I'm up to.
Yeah, I guess your tricks though. I was thinking about this when you said how it's mainly the art that like made big, but it's like your tricking is what led that to happen. Because if it wasn't for your tricking, then if you couldn't do tricks, then there wouldn't be a Garrison. Like,
yeah, I don't mean art as in like I made that because I do art, but like there's a lot of trickers that don't have that side of wanting to like film and edit and all of that. I kind of mean just that side of my interest.
Yeah,
I was able to kind of facilitate big. But yeah, of course, it's a pure combination of that plus tricking.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's cool how it all kind of ties in together.
Yeah, well, that's why I think I was so passionate about it and loved it so much. I got to do everything I love and kind of put everything into it and make this very niche product that I was super, super passionate about.
Well, I love big. I love like it's one of my things. Like I don't know. You might call me weird, but I make every single first date that I go on, I make the girl watch the whole of Big.
You
bring the laptop to the restaurant and like slap it out.
Yeah, when she tries to like ask you questions about like your day and stuff, you're like, shh.
I just put my hand on her mouth, just making her watch this 2-hour-long documentary about me.
Yeah, every time you're on screen, that's me, that is.
When anybody else is on screen, I explain where I was during and then when I'm on screen, I'm like, shh.
You shush right over what you're doing. Shushing so much. When you're mad, you couldn't hear it.
Well, you saying like, when you watch it now, like from like the artistic standpoint and in terms of like the technical standpoint of viewing the documentary, how would you change it besides that, or are you happy with the finished product? Because like if like you talking about doing things like basically two-part question, how would you change it? Is there anything you do differently? And second part, what would you like to do moving forward if there was that kind of room for another documentary or production? What would your ideal situation be with that?
Well, so first part, like it's hard because there's a quote which is, art is never finished, it only abandoned, which is really true. Like you could keep chipping away or changing a painting or a documentary or whatever forever. You decide when you're gonna stop chipping away. And if I was, in my mind, I know what I could maybe do better now, but I wouldn't actually change it because it was a place in a time, and for me to like go back and make it as me now is not, it feels pointless and not, I don't know, maybe I shave a couple seconds here or there and I think it flows a bit better, but like, I don't know if that's really like, useful. So I wouldn't, but when I look at it, it's just little things. But that's the thing, when it's that long and you just want to change little things, like if you want to change little things over like a 5-minute video, that's okay. But if you want to change little things over an hour and 45 minutes, that really adds up. And also,
Yeah.
the computer takes forever because you've got an hour and 45-minute document worth of footage open. So everything just took forever. Anyway, just like some of my own narration, I hear like makes me cringe. Like I would just cut it or re-say it, things like that. But I'm probably more critical of that than anyone else, because it's my own voice. And yeah, just little flow things. You know, the overall sections and what's covered and everything like is good. It's just pacing. You know, pacing is a little bit tricky, but I think it's a hell of a lot better than the first cut. But it could obviously be refined, you know, further and further until it flows as best as it can. Just when I'm watching it, like the last time I watched it, I think was a Hadouken, and I'm like, could maybe wrap this section up here, you know. But it's not that it goes on for another 20 minutes and everyone's bored. It's just little things. You know?
Yeah, I see.
For the second part, what would I do in the future? It's just the same way how Big came along, and I had no plans to make Big, but at the right place and time, the opportunity presented itself where I felt I could do something that I was really excited by, and I thought could be really important, like beneficial. I just kind of jumped at the chance. So I don't know what it would be. I don't have a specific thing where I'm like, I need to do this or I'm gonna do this. But you know, if something came along that I was mad excited about, I'd, you know, put other things aside, you know, and prioritize it to be part of it or whatever. You know, if I cared enough. But I don't know what that would be right now. But I'd love it if there was. The thing is, I think Big is such a good format for explaining what tricking is. Just like the actual journey of these guys on this thing. You know, so if I wanted to like make a higher production version for Netflix where your average person might click on it and learn about tricking, what do I think the best way for them to learn about tricking is? It's kind of what we did. So do you do it again?
Yeah.
You know, like.
I mean, you could just do it in like a different location. You could do it
But with
as,
who?
like,
And why
like, a
am
little
I
bit
there?
more
It's
of a
all just a little
concept.
bit artificial, you know?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say there is one thing. There was this Formula One, like 10-part series on Netflix, and I thought they did an incredible job of making like this sport that you could like. I don't know anything about Formula One, and they made it so incredibly entertaining and made it so sick. When yeah, and I thought their way of doing it was really cool. And this isn't not necessarily something for you because it's like for you to make something like this, you'd have to go massively out of your way. You wouldn't just kind of naturally be a part of it. But basically, like if someone did this, if there was funding for it, then you'd have someone filming like Alexander Anderson, like just kind of what he's doing and how he's training and preparing for battles, and Johan and Jose and all these key figures. And then you'd show and like you'd have them at different gatherings battling and how they do, and it would build up to like hooked at the end, and you could just make it so intense, not by showing like on the Formula One thing, they didn't show races in like, oh, this guy's first, this guy's second, or any like for the whole thing. They just showed key moments, and it made it like so intense. They just like even though it was people competing for like 10th place, they managed to make it like mad intense. And I think you could do the same thing with tricking, showing like how important it is. Jose versus Johan, even if it's in a quarterfinal at Hooked, like if you could show the backstory to show why that's important.
You take them along where by the time you're at the point at Hooked where it's Jose versus Johan, the viewer understands what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that'd be so cool, you know.
That'd be sick.
I mean that would come along if tricking was big enough that, you know, Netflix, whoever thought they were gonna make back the investment of producing that, you know. But when that comes along, just the thought of being able to like help make that, I'm like, oh, that is so cool. Like that would be cool. That's something where I'd like to be involved. And hopefully, you know, having done what I've done and do the work I do, I'd hope that I'd be able to like get myself, you know, involved. But who knows? Like it's just, you know, kind of dreaming about what might come along or whatever. But that would be so cool. Like a 10-part series where any person could come along and understand tricking. I do like the history though, because I think it's so cool where tricking's come from and how quickly it's grown. Like over the 10-part series or whatever, you could take people through. I mean, this is where you'd go into just trying to figure out how to do it. But you can give people the history quickly enough, take them to where we're at, and follow these people. And oh man, that'd be great. I just want to get tricking out to the people, but not in the, like you're saying, in this entertaining way where people understand why anyone likes it. Because it's so easy to just kind of show a community or a culture, and people be like, "Whoa, what a bunch of weirdos! Why are any of them doing this?" And I think that's like not what you want. You want people to understand why this is the way it is and be excited, maybe want to take part. And or maybe if even you're an event organizer, but you see this and you think, what, this is pretty cool, and maybe that's how you end up with the tricking festivals you've been talking about and stuff. Just getting people to understand and be excited about tricking, whoever they are. Because sports like football, yeah, you got your footballers, but it is what it is because you have a lot more than just footballers excited and involved. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that like that Formula One documentary as an example, if it was talking about the history and when it started and showing the old cars and all of that, I wouldn't have watched it.
Nah.
I sat there. I think it was an hour episode, like maybe 40 minutes episode each time. But I watched the whole thing. I wanted to keep watching it when I should have been going to sleep. And yeah, they just made it so.
They pepper in the history though throughout the episodes.
They what?
They pepper in the history throughout the episodes.
They had bits. They had bits. Like
see, that's another way to kind of like feed it in without people being bored about an episode of history or something.
And also, it doesn't have to be like, oh, we're taking it back to the early 90s with this history. It's like if someone was saying like, oh, when I was coming up, this was my inspiration, and then it's cut into like a little bit of a backstory about Guthrie or Velu or people like that over the years.
Yeah, they got beef in there. That was what made it great. There was like
the beef.
Worked for Renault. He was like their chief engineer guy, and he was the most French man. Like all over his upper body, like and he's like France, Renault, and he's got beef with the Red Bull guy, like their team, and they like straight up going at it to each other's face, and one. He's like, yeah, you're gonna bet you'll lose a lot of money from that, and he's like, we have plenty of money. That was his actual line. I loved it. No, hype.
All right. Well, tricking needs bigger beefs. We need to.
I think
put money into advertising big beefs.
I think once there's real money in events, there's gonna be big beefs.
Yeah.
Big beefs where there's like, I don't know, people doing the 2-foot mega drop kicks to the chest.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why that gets, the people going, and why most bigger sports have big beefs. Because, well, I mean, they promote these beefs, whether they're real or not. Because, yeah, people get into it. So I'm sure that would come along. Maybe by the time Shows is in his prime, he's 20, 25. Shows he's just in this big beef with I don't know, whoever.
Him and Zen get estranged.
Ooh, that would be
they
a
go
fantastic
on
beef.
different paths and they end up going to different gyms.
That was that story.
Oh, that's a great beef right there.
That's an actual anime
whole
series right there.
There you go. That'll get tricking off the ground. Pardon the pun.
Might start spreading rumors.
You start trying to create this rift between Jose and Zen. You just texting Zen like, oh, Jose said.
Jose said your hair's too floppy. Oh, Zen said your hair looks like a hand.
Oh man.
Oh, I love it. But yeah.
There you go.
There you go. There you have it.
That's what I think.
Good chat with my mate Pean and
my mate.
Omid.
Don't you dare. He's my mate.
You're both my mates, all right?
Well, if he's your mate, I'm not your mate.
Oh, Omid.
Nah, thank you for joining us, Pete. That was a lot of fun.
Anytime, boys. You know I love my Gary boys.
Yes, Pean.
All the links to Pean's social media is going to be in the description.
Yeah.
And go and check out his art. He's great. And check out his web store. He's got an incredible book that is just bang.
Tees as well. If you're more of just a team man, you want to rep the art at the session, whatever.
They're pretty dope. He's also got very soft skin, so make sure you remember that.
And now he has a mustache like a walrus as well.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows how long this will get? This is version 1, of the current Tash. We could be looking at footage in 5 years and being going, wow, look how far he's come.
Remember when Pean's mustache was above the knee?
Imagine if I just didn't touch this for 5 years.
That's what you're most known for. You become a mustache guy.
Yeah, I just have like this grooming sponsorship.
You go into all these like art conferences and stuff, and you're like, but guys, the art, and they're like, oh no, but the mustache. It's just the worst thing.
No one takes me serious. No one can see past my mustache. Physically and emotionally.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.